Okay, to create your own workshop, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Administration, Create Workshop. Let's start with creating a title. Notice everything that has a red asterisk on it, those are required elements, so you have to put something in there or you'll receive an error. Next, let's do our description. And then special instructions, this is where you would put, please don't forget bring your laptop, or if it's a Canvas course, this is where you would put your Canvas link. If it's a uh, virtual course, this is where you'd put your Zoom link. This course I'm creating is going to be a blended course, so it's going to be a in-person virtual course. So I'm put in my Zoom link. The minimum participants is going to be 1. My maximum in person will be 25. And then Zoom, let's have 50. The registration deadline date, we're going to go way ahead in dates so that we can easily get rooms. If I were to make it, say, next week, it would probably be hard to get a room. So I'm going to make it for 7/7/2025 as my deadline date. And for my deadline time, I think for that day, I'm going to go from 8 to 11. So I think I'm going to make my deadline time to be at the end of the workshop, because I know there's going to be stragglers that will forget to register. So I always like to give them last minute time to register. But that's entirely up to you. Credit hours are going to be 3 credit hours. And the evaluation window, I'm just going to leave that blank. Credit type, let's make it a CPE. Credit type, that's traditional. I mean, that's usually the most common among teachers. Subject, this is going to be a technology training. And okay, notice when I did a single click that the very first one popped up. Be careful with this, because if you just do a single click and then click your arrow, you might pick the wrong subject that you want. So it's actually technology training that I'm going to be doing. In my audience, I want teachers. Next best thing to do is just double click. So I'm going to do teachers. Unfortunately, double clicking does not automatically put it over there. You still have to click the arrow. And let's get administrators too. And then grade level, this workshop's not going to be grade level specific, so I'm not going to pick any grade levels. T-Pest, T-Test, there's not going to be any for this one, so I'm going to leave it blank as well. For the workshop materials, I think I want to entice them to come to my workshop, so I'm going to choose a picture for them to look at to entice them to come to my workshop. So let's go to my pictures and find something exciting for them to say, oh yes, I want to come to that workshop. And since I want everyone to see the picture, I'm going to make the document public. That way they can see it as soon as they look at the description of my workshop. And I've created my workshop, and I'm going to write that down just in case I don't get to finish creating my workshop. So I want to go back because I do have some workshop materials I want to include for those who do register for my workshop. So I'm going to come in here and choose some files, and let's go to documents, and let's upload a function and objective code chart. That's always very useful. and that's only going to go to those who have registered for my workshop. Now notice I've made a change to this page, so you're going to want to update your general info. And when I scroll down here, if you'll notice on my document names, you'll see one that is public. Oh, they're both public. So I want to delete that because I made a boo-boo. I accidentally made both of them public, so I want to choose that function and objectives code workshop and not check that. So I'm going to update it again. And now I have this one here is only going to be available to those who have registered for my workshop. And then this one will be available to everybody. All right, so now we're going to go on to the Options tab. And this is going to be a workshop I'm only going to allow co-ops into my workshop. It's not an iSpring course, online course. As I said before, this is a blended course, so it's going to be in person and virtual. So, and I'm going to have more than just ESC employees allowed into the workshop. It does impact student performance. The important thing to know about this is that, let's say you have a workshop such as a bus driver workshop or a IMS workshop, or like some of the workshops that I do. For example, this workshop for OmniTrack, it does not impact student performance. So you would want to uncheck that. It is checked by default. By unchecking it, what that does is for the evaluations, it automatically puts a NA for the third question of the evaluation, which says this workshop will help my students in the classroom or will impact student performance. And that way it doesn't confuse your participants if it doesn't have anything to do with students. And that way you won't get a bad evaluation, because if they don't feel that it impacts student performance, they'll give you ones saying this doesn't impact student performance, so it's going to be a 1. And then enable waitlist. I'm going to go ahead and leave that checked, because in case my room overflows, I might want someone to, if they want to be on the wait list, they can. But you can uncheck that as well. The registration on reservations is totally useless. It doesn't work, so just ignore it. I'm trying to get that removed to not confuse anyone. On the select event type, this is what kind of workshop are you going to have? And your choices are an in-person, virtual, a virtual synchronous, or an on-demand course. And as I said before, this one's going to be an in-person virtual. And here, if you were to have an outside consultant, you would select the reason for your outside consultant. Because my workshop is going to be virtual as well as in person, I need to come up with a remote check-in code. Now this code could be anything, special characters, numbers, letters, uppercase, lowercase. You could even have the word password. It's not a big secure thing. I'm gonna come up with something I can remember, which is train. You can use the same check-in code for all of your workshops if you so choose. The priorities, why am I having this workshop? Well, this is a good extended learning opportunity. It's customer request. Divisional tagging. Well, I'm from Technology Center and I work in the Workshop Services department. The next part, miscellaneous settings, there's nothing there that pertains to me, so I don't have to worry about that. And as far as when to show up on the calendar, it's okay for the workshop to show up on the calendar as soon as it's approved. On the allowed districts, uh, I don't care which district can come to my workshop, but had I wanted it to be limited to just one district or one or two districts, the way I would add that would be add a district, choose my region, and let's say, for example, this workshop that I have for OmniTrack for new staff, I usually limit it to Region 7 ESC. So this is how I would do that. And what this does is it directly limits it to just one school district. Or you can add one or two school districts. And if you change your mind, just click the trash can and it goes away. Expenditures. Some departments use this feature, some departments don't. That's entirely up to you. You could add your expenditures. For example, let's say location rental, that would be your room fee. You would pick your expense code and your amount, click save, and you can add as many as you need. Again, now that we're finished with this tab, the very last thing you're going to want to do is click the Update Workshop Info button. If you do not do this, you'll have to start over on this page because nothing will save. Moving on to the Contact Info page. This is where you add your presenter, your contact, your liaison, and your workshop accessibility. The workshop accessibility is anyone you want to have access to edit the workshop or to see, the back end of the workshop, such as maybe your director or another secretary in case you are out sick. It's always good to have a backup. The two that are required are your presenter and your contact. I'm going to go ahead and make myself both the presenter and the contact so that I don't freak anybody out because they're going, oh my gosh, there's a workshop in my approval path. The presenter must have an objective tied to it. So to get to that objective, you would double click on the name and then select the year of the workshop. Obviously 2025 is not in here, so I'm just going to select the first one. Then you're going to select the objective, and my fund org is 198820. And then once you find your objective, click submit. Then OK. Now you've added your objective. If you ever need to add an external contact, what you would first do is search for that contact. Then when you find the contact you want, oh, here's the guy I need, you would click the green add button and he would show up here, but that doesn't put him in as your presenter yet. You still have to click the add presenter button to get him up here. And then obviously you still have to double click to put in the objective form. But in this case, I don't need an outside presenter, so take him away. And again, very last thing you do is click that Update Contact Info, or you'll have to start over again. The next tab, the Billing Info tab, is where you put in your fee, and then you choose your revenue account, and then you decide on your payment options. Now, if you do not check this box, the only way people could pay would be through purchase orders. Otherwise, if you check the box, then they can pay via credit card, checks, or purchase orders. Then click your Update Billing Info button. And now let's add some co-ops. So I'm going to click the Add the Co-op button, and I usually add employees of Region 7 because give some of my colleagues an opportunity to take my workshop. And then I'll add Region 7 districts and charters and private private schools, and then that'll be good enough. These don't all have to be 0. Let's say you have a workshop and you want the employees to be 0, but Region 7 districts and charters, you'll allow them to come to the workshop at a discounted rate of $50 and the private schools at a discounted rate of $75. And then of course, the very last thing you do is click Update Billing Info. Next tab is your Reservations tab. Here is where you put in the date, time, and location of where you're going to have your workshop. So, as I said before, this one's a blended workshop, so I've got 2 locations. One's virtual and one is internal. So I'm going to start with my internal room. So first thing I'm going to do is add my date, 2025, and my begin time is going to be 8 o'clock a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m. And then I'm going to select the Education Service Center, and I want to find out which rooms are available that day. Select your layout types, leave all of those checked. If you don't leave them all checked, then you're limiting yourself as to what is available. So I'm going to search to see what is available, and everything is available. So I'm going to select the Collaborate room. I think that's where I want to present that day. And I'm going to add selected. Then I'm going to choose my expense account. And then method of payment, leave that as NA. And then you click submit. And there you go. There's my room. Now remember this, I also have a virtual. This is also going to be virtual. So now I'm going to click on the Add On Demand or Virtual course. And since it's virtual, I'll have to check that box. And I'm going to pick my date range. And the end date is required on this part. In begin time, it's going to be the same. And then click submit. Okay, both of them are on there. And if you make a mistake and it's ahead of time, you can always come in here and change it. Or you can come in here and cancel it. So it's pretty easy to manipulate the data here. Under registrations, there's now a whole lot I need to do here. Notice that There, you have a head count. That is something I did not go over in the PowerPoint. And what that's for is, let's say you have students coming to your workshop that would not be registering for it, or parents, or someone that would not be registering for your workshop, but they are bodies in the building, and we do want that head count because of, obvious reasons, parking, things like that. So that's where you would put your additional head count here. And then here's where you would email participants. This is where you would add your no credit registration. Here's where you would register your employee, like I discussed before. Okay, here's where you would do a sign-in override for anybody that forgot to sign in. Here's where you would check if you did not want to have an evaluation of your workshop, which we all want an evaluation of our workshop because we want to know what we've done good, if we've done it, if we've done something good, or if there is something we need to work on. And then here is that hot potato button I told you to try and stay away from it if you possibly can, because we do want our participants to register themselves. And then the very last thing you do is activate your approval path. So you come in here and you select your approval path and click Begin Approval. And then click OK. And you have just created your first workshop. Once your workshop has been approved, you'll notice that the status has changed from incomplete to open. Another thing that is useful is that if you look under sharing, you'll have a couple of QR codes. The first QR code will take you, is useful, it will take you directly to your registration page. So if I click here, it would take me directly to my registration page so I can register for this course. The second one would take me to my evaluation page. So, however, if I were to click this right now, notice you have not registered for the workshop. But even if I had registered for the workshop, so let me register. Oh, I have to register. So even if I register for the workshop and I come here, I've not signed into it. And workshops can't evaluate it if there's no sign-in. And I can't sign into it because the workshop hasn't started yet. So you can't evaluate a workshop if it hasn't started. You can't evaluate the workshop until the workshop has ended. So there's kind of a safety net there, which is kind of nice. But that is very useful. Under reports, there are various reports that you can use. You've got a workshop roster. You have workshop attendance. The nice thing about a workshop roster, especially for those that are in person, if you'll notice here, if you print out your workshop roster, for those that are checking in, they have their own personal PIN. Many of them might forget it. It's listed right here on the roster. It's nothing real secure, so it's okay to tell them what it is. So have that printed out. And that's creating your first workshop. Nothing to it. If you want to add workshop notes, that's something I forgot to add, which is right here. click on Workshop Notes, click Add Note, add a note, done. And then I can go to another tab and it'll show me that I have one note that's internal. Now, if we were to go to the calendar, let's go to July 7th, 2025. There's my workshop. Okay, so we've created our first workshop and done. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to answer them for you.